Hi, my name is Carolyn Miller. I am the author of the new book called Tangled Up in Love, which is out on Tuesday, the 26th of March. It's the latest book in the Trinity Lake series, which is a multi-author collection, and it's been a lot of fun because it's based on places that I've actually visited in Washington State. So I'm going to read a little bit from chapter 1, and we have Ellie Riley, who is a bit of a cowgirl at heart, who has just arrived back from the trip of a lifetime in Europe, back to her small town, and she's at the airport being picked up by who she thinks is her brother, but have a listen and we'll see. Ellie? She glanced up, her heart leaping. Jasper! Then, as if all the doubts and weight had fallen away, she raced over to give her best friend a hug. He opened his arms and smiled, and she dumped her backpack and threw her arms around him, her head buried in his neck as she savoured his warmth and comfort. So things were okay with him. Thank goodness. It was hard enough coming back without feeling like she'd lost one of the most important pieces of her life in Trinity Lakes. I missed you, she whispered against his neck. His arms tightened. I missed you too. Her heart fluttered at the rasp of his voice, a deep huskiness she'd never heard before. She was about to pull away when his hand slid up her back, up to the tangled, knotted, dark mess that was her hair. She probably smelled bad. All those flights meant it felt like years since she'd last showered. But he didn't seem to care, so she relaxed and closed her eyes. Then grew aware of the way Jasper clutched her, flush against himself, his strong chest against hers, his scent clean and cool, the bristles of his chin against her cheek, the caress of his hand along her back and hair. Her heart thudded. If she didn't know better, she'd almost think, I'm so glad you're home, he murmured. I kind of got that impression, she teased. If you hug me any longer, people will think we're an item. Oh. He released her abruptly and pulled back. Emotion was in his eyes. Then he blinked and rubbed a hand over his face, his gaze sliding away from hers, down to her dumped backpack, lying forlornly, like the shell of a poor upside-down turtle on the tiled floor. This all you got? Her heart twisted. What had just happened? Whatever that moment had been, she just killed it with an ill-timed jibe. And now she really wanted to know just why he'd hugged her so long. Like, really wanted to know. But asking such a question felt dangerous. And anyway, her mouth had filled with rocks, forcing her to clear her throat. No? He nodded, not looking at her as he picked her backpack up with one hand. She'd always thought herself strong, but even her hard-won muscles couldn't compete with Jasper's strength from doing building constructing work and working alongside his dad at Cohen's Hardware these many years. But while he might carry her backpack, she felt weighted anew with the unspoken, with the dread of expectations, and a strange certainty she'd just killed something that had barely taken its first breath. And so, chest tight, she followed him to the baggage claim. So that's just a tiny snippet of the fun that is Tangled Up in Love. I'm going to read a little bit from the back as well. One kiss didn't mean much. One kiss could mean everything. When Ellie Riley returns from a dream overseas trip, a too long hug from her best friend Jasper Cohen clues her in that his feelings might be more than what she suspected. He's unsure about pushing their friendship further, and doubly uncertain when her European friend Sebastian seeks her out in Trinity Lakes. Uncertainty is something Ellie knows all too well. Since returning from her vacation, Ellie feels like she doesn't fit in at her family's ranch or in small-time life anymore. When she's asked to take on responsibility for reopening Trinity Lakes Historical Museum, a dream she's always wanted, she can't help but wonder if settling for life in the familiar is all that God has for her, or whether she can dare trust him for more. Can these two best friends push past mistakes and insecurities and find a future together? So this is a Friends to More small town contemporary Christian romance, and it's book 9 of the Trinity Lakes romance series, and it can be read as a standalone, and I hope you'll check it out. And thanks, Tony, for the chance to talk a little bit about this and to read a little excerpt. Happy reading.